Attention everyone, it's time to step up your game with Mando, the ultimate in personal care for the active, bold, and downright badass. Armed with mandelic acid, Mando beats odor-causing bacteria before they strike. Plus, it's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, and dye-free. So feel confident about what you're putting on your skin. Mando isn't just for pits. It's a head-to-toe solution. Now let's talk deals. Father's Day is right around the corner, and what better way to show the big guy some love than freshness? Mando's starter pack is the ultimate Father's Day present, complete with everything he needs to smell like a champ. And here's the cherry on top. New customers get $5 off the starter pack when they use the promo code Chael. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So don't wait around, guys. Head on over to shopmando.com, use the promo code Chael, and let the odor fighting revolution begin. When I roll into press conferences, do you want to know who I go with? I go with Coach Clayton. My Uncle Rudy, rest his soul, he's part of the squad. I go with him. I go with my son, who's 8. I go with Grandpa Steve, my wife's father. And many people have questioned that. Why do I do that? I fight with Anderson Silva one time, and he was so big and so popular, and our feud was so red hot that he had professional bodyguards. Which was a little bit of a surprise, not for nothing. I mean, not only was he the world champion, he was also ranked number 1 pound for pound. And you would think, why would that guy need protection? But one-on-one, he wouldn't need it. 2-on-1, he might not need it. 3-on-1, you got problems, no matter who you are. And I bring that to you because I will see these press conferences where they roll in droves. And I always think, well, you can just come through the other door. You'll be on the other side of the apron, but you'll still be here. You'll be in the audience. You're not going on stage with this guy any more than you're going into the cage with the guy. And I will think when they roll in, why are you so deep in people? And why are you so deep in rough and tough looking people? As a matter of fact, I know 3 of those guys. Those are aspiring fighters, and I know who this guy is. He's already an established name. You start looking around and go, oh, you didn't bring support, you brought backup. And you can spot these things a mile away. And I would go in there unarmed without backup, and that was my way of keeping the peace. That was I never had anything happen behind the scenes in one of those type situations. And there was plenty of people that would have liked to have, that were hot and bothered by me, but I would come in, and that was one of the ways I would disarm them. I would not put my holster on my hip. It was hidden. And there's 2 schools of thought there, by the way. I don't mind the show and the presentation as a way of keeping the peace, and it generally happens, but I do spot these, and you start to know what to look for. You start to know, why is that guy on this side of the apron, and why are there 9 guys with him? If they didn't have any ill intent, they'd be on that side, where his mother is sitting, where the coach's wife is sitting, where all the fans are sitting. So you start to get these clues, and you start to get these clues very early on. Now, when you have 2 guys at a certain level, they may despise one another. And they may be very glad that they're in the sport just so they can get in there with that person and under a legal umbrella, go out and try to hurt one another. And everybody can relate to that. Everybody that's watching this, whether you go into an office each day or you show up to the job site, there's somebody within that office and there's somebody at that job site where if you could get away with it, where it was allowed, you would fight them. Everybody can understand that to a degree. Okay, well, you get to a point where prize fighter and prize starts to be number 1. You start understanding why it's not called fighter prize. It's called prize fighter in that order. And when you get to that point, no matter how much you don't like that guy over there, you will understand to a level, that is my partner. And I do not like him. But there's a reason we don't walk outside into an alley, just the 2 of us, and settle this. There's a reason we're going to wait to a specific time. Make sure the people are tuning in. And there is not an opportunity where you can ever discuss that. Like, there's very few fighters that even get to that point. There's very few fighters that really understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. That a press conference, for its effectiveness, is about energy and emotion and even devotion without touching the other one, which builds the anticipation. Like, you will get guys, main event guys, they don't know that. They've never known that. Their careers will go by. They will go to the other side and never have pieced that together. But when you get the guys that do, one thing that they will learn about getting to the spot that they are in is that it's a closed mouth business. That one of the reasons I got here is because I understand this to a degree on a different level than the rest of you. And therefore, if I want to stay here and maintain this, all I have to do is keep this piece of information from you. Thus the reason they don't tell the entourage. Now see, it's very relevant that you understand that though. Because the entourage is looking to the guy that's chosen them. To the guy that can get 10 people in the back, on the bus, getting the special treatment, the special hangar, go wherever they want, do whatever they want. Maybe even get put on camera to see themselves later. And those 10 spots, though the guy doesn't know it, are extremely sought after. And the things that go on behind the scenes, as you're starting to see one of those 10 slip away, and it might not be you, the things that they will do to keep it, it's an interesting thing, because when the star that understands that's my partner can't tell you under no circumstances do you touch him. Under no circumstance do you do anything that could interfere with this fight or all of our abilities to be licensed to fight. So, you get one of those guys. He never says anything. He never shows it. You didn't even know this was part of him. And the whole time he's planning to show you, as a way of keeping one of those 10 special spots, his loyalty. He's looking to do it. To hell with the law, with the licenses. If I hand up in handcuffs, this guy is going to look at me as loyal. And not only will that keep me in the 10, that'll put me as number one, and then the other guys are going to be behind me. It's the way that they see it. It happens every time. And there's at no point that the guy that realizes we're in business here and that's my partner, there's no point that he can sit them and smarten them up. But you can't. It's true. You could never keep a secret. Best way to keep a secret is to not tell anybody. Next best way is to only tell one person. Next best way to make sure it doesn't stay a secret is make sure that there's a third person. This is what Pride did so well. And I told you guys, the fights in Pride were fake. Now, that's not all of them. When I would tell the story, I would say all of them are fake. But as soon as an organization gets caught doing works, doing fake fights, they all become fake as a vernacular. It is not an absolute. But what the guys would do in Pride, they would never sit the guys down like pro wrestlers and go, okay, in the second round, you throw this, you go down, referee's going to step in here. It's not like that. But there was other elements to professional wrestling, such as in Pride, the referee had an earpiece in. That right there, the referee having an earpiece in, right there, should have been a lot of evidence. But I share with you the way they would keep that secret in Pride, right? You don't have very good actors here, you have cage fighters. So you don't tell both guys. You only tell one. So when that guy does what he was paid in the back to do and he goes down, this guy that won looks genuinely surprised. You take a look at that and go, man, this is the greatest actor in the world. Look at that joy. Look at how he's hiding it. Well, he's not acting. They didn't tell him. That's why it worked. That's why these things work. In a pro wrestling match, sometimes they'll only tell the referee, neither wrestler knows. I'm just sharing for you the importance and why it's important that you don't tell anyone. As soon as you tell, it looks scripted, which it is. There's a very notion that I hang my hat on telling you that Pride is fake. Most of those fights, 90%, 95+% or stronger, were 100% real competitions. But see, that's the problem. If you catch 1, 2, 6, 9 of them, It taints the entire thing, which is why you can't tell anyone. You want that press conference to be authentic and real, even if you know I'm working. It's a reason you can't tell anyone, including your camp who marked out for the gimmick, who you thought and you hoped was smart enough to know, but it turns out they're not. There has been professional wrestlers operating under gimmick names, wearing gimmick clothes to the ring, who when they got their opponent out into the crowd and their own children were there, the children have tried to attack that person to protect Dad. They don't know. They were never smartened up. Dad knew you can't trust anybody to the point that he didn't tell his own children. Bret Hart tells a great story. Bret Hart was never told. His father was not only a promoter and a wrestler himself, he was a trainer down at Stu Hart's dungeon. And to this day, Stu never smartened up Bret. Bret had to figure it out on his own when these guys that his dad was feuding with were coming over to the house and talking, and they were shaking each other's hands. He couldn't figure out what was going on. And I just share for you, when you watch the Diaz and Masvidal brawl, there was clues, right? I am counting the days until I end up in that spot with Masvidal. But as one of my ways to make sure that that happens when you all are watching is I'm not going to bring a big and intimidating entourage that can be mistaken for a backup crew. And if something does end up happening with those scumbags, they wouldn't count numbers, they would join in, and I would be the fool there. I don't maintain for you that my way is the better way. I'm just maintaining there's two schools of thought. And as far as Diaz and Masvidal brawling at a press conference, in fairness, I'd have been a little surprised if they hadn't.